to win. All right, and we're off. We have the game's underway again, 3-1. Magnus with the white pieces, and we start up with this, very familiar opening here. Kind of this Tarrasch idea, bishop b4, bishop d2, and does white play bishop c4 or bishop d3? I've seen Magnus on the white side of this many, many times. So I'm curious how well prepared Jose Martinez is, because I know that Magnus knows his stuff here really well.
And Aman, I just have to apologize. I left you hanging there. I was speaking into the microphone, which I had muted to finish chewing, and I was wondering why you would so egregiously cut me off, only to have realized I was talking to myself. So you did a great job explaining the semi-Tarrasch nuances. And this is a position that white can win in some 25 moves, by the way, if black is not careful. I have seen Magnus do unexplainable things to other top grandmasters in these positions, so it could get very bad very fast for Jose.
Yeah, and this idea of playing a6 and b5 is, let's say, not the most common. There's nothing wrong with it, but it does weaken the dark squares a little bit more than usual, especially c5, and it allows, maybe a more direct thrust with pawn to d5. So usually I see knight a5 here. He decides to take, and I guess if bishop takes, probably bishop b7.
Now white has to choose where to put the rook. There's a famous saying, I think it was Tartakower, that said, once you've worked through all the nuances of where to put the rook to what square, move the other one. And we see this was the wrong rook move. Supposedly, the computer wanted it on slightly different squares, but makes sense. And Aman, I just don't like this. I feel like white's pieces all go to squares just so much easier. Like, he's going to play h4, h5 at some point.
Yeah, you can be sure of this. You also know that the rooks are going to double really easily in the position if you want to just play rook d2, rook d1. At some point, maybe pawn to e5 as well. It's just easy to play.
Yeah, he didn't even hesitate to play this move, and then there you go. As predicted, as expected, signed, sealed, delivered. It's a very well-known maneuver. Magnus doesn't even have to think about it. Now, a knight on f5 would be almost lights out for black. Black would have to desperately defend here, but I like how Jose's playing, actually. Knight a5.
I'm wondering about the obvious, like knight d4. Let's get to that f5 square. Really like the knight on f5. And I think even if black manages to trade queens or something with queen g5, like I want my knight on f5 pretty much in all lines.
Probably he's not rushing because there is some way to trade the queen. Like I wouldn't be shocked if a rook to the third rank maneuver would be necessary, or even fourth at this point if you manage to get the queen back. But good play from Jose. Obviously with white, you don't want to trade the queen here. You don't really get too many advantages, but you could, and then you could just try to like infiltrate and maybe get some endgame pressure.
Yeah, if you wanted to do that, maybe you'd play, I think what he's wondering about is knight h4, but maybe black has g6, because if you take on d6 and play knight h4, black can't double the rooks and take on d5, so you're able to sneak the knight into f5, but maybe he's not interested in g6 and just kind of kills the knight h4 idea.
Okay, it's happening. There it is. Magnus will probably evaluate that this endgame with that trade is better for him. It's more pleasant for him. Right. Aman calling everything. Knight to f5.
I like this idea of knight f5. And basically, if I'm Magnus and I don't see the move g6, I'm happy. Knight to f5, pawn to g4, thrust forward, pawn to d6. Looks really good.
Right. Jose hasn't played g6. See, if I played this against Jose, he would have went g6 in 2 seconds. But he's playing Magnus. He's asking himself, is this the transformation that I want? I surrender e6. Maybe Magnus goes here, takes, pawn's running away, knight's taking my pawn, rook is coming in. What am I doing? I'm losing. How did I miss this? But it could be okay.
Quite the inner dialogue there. Are you speaking from experience, Levy?
Yeah, for sure. Yes. Now, by the way, even when playing Magnus, I mean, you've played Magnus as well. It's a slow and painful death.
It really is.
Like now he gave him this. Now here comes desperate defending back. It's just...
Yeah, and that knight on h4 will always join in a good way. Yeah, you're pointing out, kind of have to play that move. Rook e6 is the only other suggestion. But the thing is, Magnus most likely is not 100% determined to queen the d pawn. That can be used as a decoy. Maybe he picks up the a pawn in the future in exchange for it. And yeah, you see the move rook e4. I'm wondering if rook e6 is going to happen.
Right, because the idea is also maybe rook e1. And at that point, you threaten a checkmate regardless of the pawn. So black would have to defend.
Right.
Yeah, and if you double and take, you're also going to win this pawn. And
so he wants rook e1, knight d6. And I'm trying to get to the bottom of whether there's any... I mean, you can play pawn to g4, trying to play knight f5. That certainly comes to mind. There's also maybe ideas like a4. I don't really know how good these moves are.
a4 might be it, just to soften it all up. It's difficult to understand why it's plus 1.3. That's very mysterious. I mean, that's borderline knockout territory in a position like this. Maybe that really is it. Okay, knight d6.
Yeah.
And is it just rook e7? Like,
yeah, I'm starting to think so.
That he probably missed that, right? He probably just missed that slow move that doesn't do anything except protect the pawn, but suddenly black can't move any pieces.
Yeah. And what I mean about maybe giving up that d pawn in exchange for another is after rook e7, you almost want to play rook e6 as black as a bailout, but you run into rook 1 takes e6 and knight g6 check. Or maybe knight g6 check immediately.
I can show that on the analysis board. Okay, never mind. We have rook e6. And why is this so bad? Is it simply we lose 2 pawns?
Yeah, Magnus he's using that d pawn. He's going to win 2 pawns for it. That's perfect. That's really all you need, because the resulting position is still one that you're pushing. Knight coming to f5, g7 pawn, always loose.
I must say Jose looks like he's sitting in an interrogation room. I mean, like, he does not look particularly thrilled during these games. He didn't even look thrilled to win the game.
Yeah, exactly. You start to doubt yourself. You know, the mind of someone playing Magnus Carlsen is troubled.
Down below a minute we go.
He's for sure evaluating knight g6. Otherwise, we wouldn't be pausing this long. So he's wondering whether, do we throw knight g6 in? Oh,
my board just jumped forward. I don't know what happened there, but
never mind. He had definitely made that decision. Okay, did play knight g6, yes. And then he took, and then he just crapped the material.
Yeah, I was sitting here waiting, like, what's he thinking about? And
it's not that difficult.
He wasn't. He is better with a pawn advantage. This is just about the worst thing you can see outside of your castle. It's a horse tied with a cement block, and it's not leaving. All sorts of mates. Knight f5 is coming, and bad news.
Yeah, knight f5. And the worst part about this position is the presence of the a and b pawns. If they're off the board, at least everything only, is bad on one side of the board. But now you have to worry about losing the b pawn, the passed a pawn. It's a lot to keep track of.
Here, there is nothing you can do, also. This is clever. White could even... Yeah, g4 doesn't just defend the knight. It also defends the pawn and recreates the threat on g7. It's bad. King g3. Yeah.
Magnus has that body language. Like, he knows this position is now completely over. Rook c7, I'm going to assume.
Anybody confused, rook g7 would be met with a rook sacrifice on the f5 square, removing the defender. Okay, you can win the rook endgame if you'd like. You don't have to go to a rook endgame.
Right.
Yeah, just... And... Nice. I'm going for a little Arabian.
Yeah, that is a nasty check.